We can meet all the details about the war between Ukraine and Russia. The Ukrainian army has neutralized more than 450,000 Russian military personnel since the start of the war on the front line. The Russians did not think they would lose so many soldiers when starting this war. Putin thought he would enter Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, in a week. Ukrainian defense forces neutralized almost 500,000 Russian soldiers and wiped many Russian equipment and facilities off the map. The Ukrainian army also made good use of the ammunition received from the other countries. The USA and other countries gave Ukraine powerful weapons. Because Russia's occupation of Ukrainian territory here has created a global security crisis in the region. The Russian occupation of these territories also affects NATO members and other countries. For this reason, due to Russia's occupation of Ukraine, many countries supported Ukraine and imposed different sanctions on Russia. The long-range missiles and air defense systems provided by the USA to Ukraine have become Russia's fearful dream. The Ukrainian army organized attack operations against Russian facilities with HIMARS missile systems and ATACMS missiles. In addition, the Ukrainian army, which also hit Russian facilities with unmanned aerial vehicles, inflicted great losses on Russia. In recent months, explosions and fires have frequently occurred in Russian oil refineries. While the Ukrainian army destroyed Russian oil refineries with its attacks, the US called on Kiev to stop its attacks in response to the ongoing attacks on Russian facilities and warned that drone attacks could lead to an increase in global oil prices.
In March, 15 drone strikes were carried out on 13 oil refineries in 9 regions of Russia since the beginning of 2024. Serious damage was caused to 8 facilities. The Ukrainian army has taken offensive operations to another level. These attacks cannot be prevented by the Russians, and Russian facilities are destroyed. Drones of the Ukrainian Security Service were again on Russian territory the other day. Yes, the Ukrainian army has increased its attacks on Russian territory. Finally, 2 oil depots in Russia's Smolensk region were the main targets of Ukrainian drones. The Russian warehouses contained 26,000 cubic meters of Russian fuel. That night, 2 Rosneft bases for the storage and transport of oil products were targeted. These facilities are located in the settlements of Yartsevo and Rozdorovo in the Smolensk region. Following powerful explosions at the facilities, a large fire broke out, leading to the evacuation of personnel. Ukraine continues to effectively destroy military infrastructure and logistics that feed the Russian military. Russian authorities have also reported fires at energy and fuel facilities. Indeed, Vasily Anokin, governor of the Smolensk region, said that fires broke out at 2 facilities in 2 regions of the region. Satellite images confirmed that a large fire broke out in one of the oil depots. The Ukrainian army is organizing these attacks according to a certain strategy. The Ukrainian army's attack on these facilities has shaken Russia economically. However, the Ukrainian army is organizing offensive operations not only on oil facilities, but also on weapons production facilities. The United States had recently drastically reduced its support for Ukraine. The Russian army wanted to take advantage of the situation and increased its attacks on Ukrainian territory. The Russian army is committing war crimes on Ukrainian territory, hitting many residential areas. However, what do you think about the fact that the United States warned Ukraine after Ukraine hit Russian oil installations and asked Ukraine to stop the attacks on Russian oil installations? By invading Ukrainian territory, the Russian army has put the world on an irreversible path. For this reason, the USA wanted to prevent Ukraine by saying that an oil crisis could occur, while it should unconditionally support Ukraine. Do you think this is right? The Ukrainian army took into account what the US said, but did not stop its attacks. The Ukrainian army continued to hit Russian facilities, although not as often as before. This did not spoil the relationship between Ukraine and the United States. Accordingly, the US has again prepared and announced a very large military aid package for Ukraine. The US is preparing the largest arms package for Ukraine to date, and preliminary indications are that it will amount to $1 billion. The aid package is expected to include vehicles, Stinger manpads ammunition, additional ammunition for HIMARS, 155mm artillery ammunition, TOW and Javelin anti-tank missiles and other weapons that can be immediately deployed to the battlefield. It was reported that the US had postponed a vote on a bill to provide financial and military assistance to Ukraine. Last week, however, the situation changed and the House of Representatives backed the bill. Do you think this aid package contains everything Ukraine needs? The fires on Russian territory continue. There are frequent explosions and fires in Russian oil refineries. While the Ukrainian army is destroying Russian oil refineries with its attacks, the US has called on Kiev to stop its attacks in response to the ongoing attacks on Russian facilities, and warned that drone attacks could lead to an increase in global oil prices. Also in recent days, a strong fire occurred at an enterprise in the Krasnoyarsk region, where 3 containers of oil products caught fire. According to the Russian Emergencies Ministry, even special fire trains were called to the scene to extinguish the fire. 3 containers of petroleum products, each with a volume of 200 liters, reportedly caught fire in the Krasnoyarsk region. It was also reported that the area where the fire broke out was 500 square meters. 58 specialists and 15 pieces of equipment were dispatched to the scene, while 2 firefighting trains were deployed for extinguishing work. It was later claimed that the fire was localized in Russia and covered an area of 1,000 square meters. The fire spread very quickly over a large area and doubled in size. The fire was also visible from very long distances. The Ukrainian army is organizing these attacks in order to reduce Russian production capacity and to inflict losses on the Russians in all respects. This strategy adopted by the Ukrainian defense forces has yielded really good results. The Russians suffered huge economic losses after their oil refineries were hit. In addition, the factories hit by Ukraine with drones and long-range missiles have greatly reduced Russia's arms production capacity. The Russians suffered losses in terms of production capacity after these facilities were hit by Ukraine. The targeting of oil refineries and ammunition production factories left Russian leader Vladimir Putin in a desperate situation. The Ukrainian army's destruction of Russian air defense systems on the front line and in areas close to the front line gives the Ukrainian army more room for maneuver. The shooting down of Russian air defense systems ensures that the missiles sent by Ukraine to Russian territory reach their targets. Ukrainian defense forces, which also use FPV drones very effectively, give Russian positions and Russian tanks a nightmare. The importance of FPV drones was well understood in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Ukrainian soldiers can destroy a large number of Russian soldiers and Russian equipment by not leaving their positions. There are hundreds of videos of the Ukrainian army destroying Russian military personnel and equipment with FPV drones. Even without video, thousands of Russian targets were destroyed by FPV drones. The Ukrainian army responds to Russian attacks on its territory both by striking facilities on Russian territory and by neutralizing more than 500 Russian military personnel on the front line every day. With the military support sent by the USA and other countries to Ukraine, it seems that the Ukrainian army will give the Russians much worse days. What do you think about the destruction of Russian facilities and the increased defense and firepower of the Ukrainian army? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to completely repel the Russians from their territory in 2024?
To reach all the actual news fast and reliable worldwide, please don't forget to follow and like us.